This is another thing that I was going to talk about. This is Israel's longest running English podcast. Two nice Jewish boys, hosts Naor Menninger and Eitan Weinstein, call for wiping out every single Palestinian in Gaza. Radio Rwanda in full effect here. Let's take a look at what the Two Nice Jewish Boys pod had to say about Gaza.
If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second. That's just, I think most Israelis
if that's agree. The choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These guys aren't nice, nor are they boys, man. What the f? This is two shitty elderly Jewish gentlemen podcast. Where are the boys? Are the boys in the room with us? I feel like once you reach 35, you're no longer a boy. You're a man, okay?
Oh, even if it's not like right now.
Yeah, no.
I would press it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same with the territories.
I would press it right now.
Mm-hmm.
No choice. No, Sharon is safe at home. God willing, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in like an hour.
No, I'm saying for the chance.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I would press it right now. Give me that button and press it right now.
There you go.
And I think most Israelis would.
Yeah. Most Jewish Israelis.
They wouldn't post, they wouldn't talk about it like I am.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't post, they wouldn't say I pressed it.
Yeah.
But they would.
They don't have balls of steel like you.
They would, but they would press it, right? Like if they were in a closet alone, they would.
I don't understand why my dude is saying this thing that we all know very openly, not even thinking about like other people might hear this and go, "Damn, dog, you're a genocidal piece of shit."
They wouldn't even hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
Someone came to them and Hadar said, "No one will know. You press this, all the Palestinians are gone." You'd be like, "Hey, is there another one?"
I mean, it makes sense. They're doing it right now. He's just saying that he's on board with it. Do you think Hamas would if the other way were around? Maybe. But do you understand the difference in the way that this attitude is represented? Because Hamas isn't doing that right now. Israel is. Israel is literally doing that right now. I see your podcast has been running since 2016. Available data is not kind. Most of your videos get under 500 views, and you don't even chart on Israel's podcast rankings. By all metrics, a failure. I recommend taking a Gary Vee course or getting a hair transplant in Turkey. Lol, why would we be in Israel's podcast ranking, you imbecile? We're a podcast in English. Because it appears to be the only chart you've ever shown up on. The ESL one doesn't seem to speak much due to his poor grasp of English. That's fine. But the balding one should smile less and perhaps adopt a backwards hat as pictured below to mask his Yakubian megacephaly. One of the funnier aspects of this conversation that's taken place here is that the notion that like, oh, Israelis are too afraid to say this out loud. It's like, no, bitch, they're not. They say it all the time on Twitter. And it seems like you're not afraid to say it out loud on your podcast. They say it in polls. They say it out loud. They say it, God forbid you ever translate from Hebrew to English. Oh my God. It's done an unimaginable amount of counter PR for any kind of opinion that people might have had about like, oh, well, Israel seems like the most moral nation on earth. Let's see what the average Israeli thinks about God. Oh my God, what are they saying? This is like new levels of Hitlerian politics I had not thought about before. The Hebrew loot box tweet, you get different rarities of genocidal language. Yeah, like ancient tomes of genocidal spice, dude. It's like the fears that people have of like the polar ice caps melting, new rare diseases we haven't seen before. That's what is going on when you translate Hebrew to English, okay? You have not seen these kinds of racist takes in a while. Man, I have to live with these people. You don't know the half of it. I mean, I get it. I live in America, so I get it. Trust me. You know, we got a decent amount of this kind of sentiment here too. Trust me. This genocidal maniac was raised in the U.S. like Mayor Kahan. His fascism was homegrown in the U.S. and exported to the West Asia to try to colonize Palestine on behalf of the mass murdering U.S. empire. Of course, for the record, the most rabid ultra-Zionists are oftentimes, which is ironic, maybe, because I just said this, but the most rabid ultra-Zionists, like Mayor Kahan, are American-born. We just have this weird concoction here. Don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the water or something, but like El Salvadorans come here, they're pushed aside, are forced to not be able to integrate into American society. They start gangs. You know, that's what happens usually. All of a sudden, They're using American weapons, American training. What happens next? MS-13. What do we do with MS-13? We take them out of our prisons and we ship their asses back to El Salvador. We don't even tell the El Salvadoran government we're doing this. Fast forward a couple decades later, they are running the show. That is our number one export and our number one innovative product is breeding people who are genocidal monsters. We are so goated at it. It is the thing that we're the best at. You know, there is one group of people that also took a lot of inspiration from America. Adolf Hitler was his name. He looked to what America had done, both in the first stage of the Bracero program during World War I and the mass deportation that took place afterwards, and the equipment that they used, and also Jim Crow laws and American eugenicists were kind of the number one at exporting this kind of Hitlerian politics. The podcast host sat on the left, used to work in media for Netanyahu. Yeah, that's not surprising. America took it one step further, and it seems they chose to do this thing, which is really stupid. They chose to prosecute the leaders of Hamas. The Department of Justice is charging Hamas leaders in October 7 attack. I don't know who this is for. I'm sorry, this is funny. I can't take this seriously. Half of the people that they're charging are dead. There's like one guy remaining that they could even prosecute for this. Are you joking?
Well, George, good morning. The Department of Justice charging the head of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, for his alleged role in the deadly attacks and the kidnapping of American citizens here in Israel on October 7th. Attorney General Merrick Garland pointing to the terror group's killing of more than 1,200 people, including 40 Americans. The DOJ accused 6 top Hamas leaders, quote, for financing and directing a decades-long campaign to murder American citizens and endanger the security of the United States. At the same time, here in Israel, we've seen thousands of protesters back in the streets, really trying to up the pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu to sign a ceasefire deal and bring home 97 hostages held by Hamas, and that includes 7 Americans. These protests have been intensified after Hamas executed 6 hostages on Saturday. Now, U.S. officials are still determined to get a ceasefire deal, saying that President Biden is personally involved in the negotiations. But one of the major obstacles is Israel's refusal to fully withdraw its troops.
Wow. Wait, what? Israel's refusal to withdraw troops is a major obstacle? Shocking. Guys, color me surprised, okay? Look, I'm shocked. Is there a chance that Israel off the hostages of a false flag operation? No. Dude, what are you talking about? No, there is 0% chance that Israel offed the hostages themselves. Why would they ruin their own PR? Yeah, no, they definitely do the Hannibal directive, and they have done it many times over. They've killed a shit ton of the Israeli hostages, but they're not going to, at this point, when there's a ceasefire negotiation happening, directly go into a tunnel and like shoot the fucking hostages themselves. What would they benefit from doing that? They have complete gridlock, complete bedlam in Israel. They had a mass strike. Everyone is directly holding Benjamin Netanyahu responsible for the deaths. Israel knows every time a hostage dies, that puts pressure on Israel, not Hamas. What more pressure could you put on Hamas, dude? What are you talking about? Look at Gaza. That's the pressure on Hamas. That's the pressure that was supposed to force Hamas's hand. It didn't work. It's been a year. You think people can't recognize that, especially when they are closer to the situation? Walls are closing in on Bibi. Pod Johns have been discussing this before his speech in Congress. New York Times did an expose on full proper history on right-wing fascists, including 1993 assassination of an Israeli PM and direct ties to Bibi's current government, and now CNN and NPR. The tide must be shifting behind the scenes in the State Department. When you lost the libs, you are cooked, Bibi. The tide shift has always been there. Virtually every employee of the State Department knew exactly how Israel was going to retaliate. No, don't say copium. Don't say copium. There is 2 different mindsets within the State Department. You have ideologically minded zealots, okay, who think business as usual on Israel, let him pummel, let him keep going, it'll be fine. Then you have the other people who are like a little bit more sane, who want the continuation of American imperialism, who look at the situation and go, yeah, we can't let Israel do this because it is destroying the rule-based international order, like it is, which never really existed, but like it is destroying the argument that we could even craft or conduct in the Western world to claim that we care about this sort of thing. It's done. No more American soft power. It's destabilizing the region far too much. It is destroying our chances of like ever conducting any kind of like the facade is being destroyed, right? Like we can never stand on rule-based international order ever again if we continue giving Israel weapons. Okay, it's destroying the illusion of the rule-based international order. Obviously, when there's a genocide going on, the entirety of the third world is already aware of this, but now even the Western populations are becoming more and more aware of this reality. And the government is directly at odds with the citizens. Even if the citizens don't give a shit about it all that much, they still see it. This is, of course, going to be a major problem for American dominance. America also looks weak in this situation. Israel's supposed to be our attack dog. They can't continue this bloodshed without our weapons. So, of course, for a lot of people within the State Department who want to continue American imperialism, they're like, this is crazy. We can't do this. We need to put an end to this. So that's always existed. That's why a shit ton of State Department employees quit very publicly, made bold declarations. Like, we're talking about dudes who are responsible for other genocides being like, well, this genocide is going to fuck up the bag for America. Okay. And they are right. So ultimately, that divergence have always existed within the American State Department, considering how much Israel bullies the American agencies in general. If we were to look at the State Department, like there are obviously very pro-Israel people within the CIA, and then there are very anti-Israel people within the CIA as well, who are like, what the fuck? They keep spying on us. They keep doing whatever the fuck they want. How are you not going to do anything about this? Like, they keep fucking up our operations. It's more so a battle ideologically within the State Department of people who are unconditionally and unimaginably pro-Israel versus people who are like, yeah, I'm pro-Israel, but like, we also have American dominance to care to consider here. Now, though, because the contradictions are so heightened and so glaring, so obvious, the hypocrisy is in full display, that it's getting to a point where the media, which always has these two different interests of, one, maintaining the shred of legitimacy that they desperately need to hold on to, which is why they sometimes will give you crumbs of real coverage on situations like this, and the other more powerful reason, which is doing the bidding of the American State Department and propagandizing whatever the American State Department's position, is at odds here, okay? Because you can't do both. You can't consistently lose massive amounts of people who no longer believe you have any integrity whatsoever in the broader population and still continue to be a successful communicator of American State Department positions. You just lose that. If you don't do both, if you don't play this like delicate balance, you're going to f it up. People are just not going to take you seriously. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to be like, I know you lied about this. That's the reason why I think, while it is, in my opinion, a little too late, you have this sort of coverage coming out now. But here are some updates internationally in terms of global pressure. This is why I don't just cast aside the 30 weapons contracts that the United Kingdom government sanctioned out of 350. That's still very significant. That is a move in the opposite direction, the direction that they've always been moving towards. That is no longer unconditional pro-Israeli sentiment from the government. That is the government responding to public pressure. That's a huge deal. Make no mistake. Judge the actions in front of you by not what you wish would happen, but by what has happened thus far. If you apply context to the situation, you will recognize that these are unique moves that Western governments are making in a direction that they've never made before, at least in contemporary American and contemporary Western history. The German government is highly frustrated with Prime Minister Netanyahu's policy regarding the negotiations on the Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal and the fact that he does not prioritize the issue enough, a senior government official told me. German official. Why it matters. Germany's diplomatic and security support for Israel has been critical since October 7 attack. Germany blocked a series of anti-Israel initiatives in the European Union and UN institutions. The German government is very concerned about the murder of 6 hostages by Hamas. The government deputy spokesman Wolfgang Büchner said on Wednesday that the murder shows that the hostage deal is the most important thing. All other considerations should be pushed to the back seat. Everyone involved in negotiations should demonstrate maximum flexibility and be ready to compromise. The senior German official said that the frustration in Berlin with the Netanyahu government is increasing because the impression is that Netanyahu does not prioritize reaching a deal for the release of hostages and a ceasefire in Gaza over the continuation of the war against Hamas. According to the German official, this is in addition to a series of other measures that increase concern in Berlin, such as inflammatory statements and actions by ministers in the Israeli government. Why is this important? Because Germany, with the exception of a select few allies in the American government, is unconditionally the biggest dick riders of Israel. They love fascism in general. They're like, fascism here, fascism there. We don't care. We love fascism. Okay? So they are super pro-Israel. for a couple different reasons. I've described it time and time again. One, because Israel is obviously killing their new enemy, not Jewish people, this time Muslim people. So that's really good. And number two, they get to talk about how, they've learned their lessons from the Holocaust. They didn't. And that it's actually Muslims that are the biggest anti-Semites, not the Germans, not the Nazis, right? So it's great. It's like a great opportunity for them to basically demonstrate a guilt transfer to the Arabs somehow. Yeah, they shift the blame over to the Arabs, and it's great. They no longer have to think about it.